Interesting about humans in the years that I've studied them is that humans don't seek perfection. The baby doesn't care if it's sucking its own thumb or the twin sister's thumb. They interchangeable is like humans don't seek perfection. What we seek is psychological comfort, and whoever provides that is the soonest winner. When you're negotiating, what you're negotiating for is, can you create enough psychological comfort that the other person can live with that? So that I can feel, okay, maybe I didn't get everything I wanted, but for this period in time, I can live with that, psychological comfort. I can go back to the board and report that this was the best that I can do, and so forth. Aim for psychological comfort. You welcomed me in, and then you said, what would you like to drink? Would you like some water? Would you like some tea? Would you like some coffee? That begins the process of psychological comfort. We're in a quiet environment. Less noise, more psychological comfort. Less lighting, it doesn't hurt the eyes. Anything that starts at a biological, physiological, and then cognitive level. So, psychological comfort. We're negotiating. So you want to offer $3,000. I think I'm worth $6,000. So how do we achieve that? Well, I'm going to let you tell me your side of why you can only provide $3,000, and I'm going to provide you my side. Okay. The fact that we actually get to tell our story begins the process of psychological comfort. Now, in the end, I may have to abide by that because there's only so much money. And if it's not in the budget, it's not in the budget. But there may be some things that you can add to say, look, this is all we have at this time, but we're going to reevaluate this in 3 months. And if we can then, depending on earnings, get you another $500 a month, we will do it then. We do it incrementally, but always thinking about what provides psychological comfort. Even though they account for 2% of the population, we will work with or for somebody like that. So what we have to keep in mind, well, what do we mean by narcissist? We're not talking about the person that looks in the mirror and likes to splash on cologne and comb their hair. This is a person that overvalues themselves but has to devalue others. This is the person who only thinks about themselves and doesn't care of what suffering or what's going on through your life. Wants you to be loyal, but is not loyal to you, is disinterested in your personal affairs, but wants you to be interested in theirs. There is your malignant narcissist. Oh, and by the way, they inherently tell lies, but expect you to tell the truth to them. Now, the effect is, well, if they're only 2% of the population, but we see them in a lot of corporations, we're going to work for them, then, how do we get along? Well, first is recognizing that they're going to devalue us. Now, sometimes they devalue you by not inviting you to meetings or sharing information, but many times it's by the way they treat you, yelling at you, being disparaging. I mean, I have some things that are horrific. So what do we do when we have people like that? Number one is recognize what you're dealing with. And that's why I wrote the dangerous personalities, because I have these robust checklists in there, which have been tested many times. So you can see, oh, wow, out of 125 things, this person has 75 of these traits. You've got a problem. But now here's the thing. When we live with somebody like this, let's say they can be very charming, but then they turn on you and they become who they really are. Then how do you deal with that? That these individuals are so caustic, they're so toxic that eventually they will victimize you physically, mentally, emotionally, physiologically or financially. You'll be victimized. The question then is, and I tell this to a lot of executives who work for these individuals who they're bullied and this stuff, is how long are you willing to tolerate it? If you can set a number and say 6 months or a year, okay, but then do something, because you will pay a price. You know, there's a great book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Yeah.
The body will definitely keep the score. You will pay a price for being in the proximity of a toxic individual. And if you become that person's chew toy, you will suffer immensely. And so I say, you know, there's no pill to cure them. There is nothing you can do to make them like you. They expect no loyalty. Try to get out as soon as you can. And that's the only advice that, you know, obviously I'm not a clinician, but I think most clinicians, if they're honest, will say, you got to get out of there. This is not tolerable. These individuals are severely flawed of character. They have no introspection. They see themselves as perfect. They don't see any imperfection in themselves. And so because they're flawed of character, you cannot expect normal behaviors from them. And so why expose yourself to them? They will be like that all their lives. You can be pathologically narcissistic, so you overvalue yourself, and you can also have traits of the paranoid personality, where that you are very rigid in your thinking and you're always suspicious of everybody's intentions. In history, you look at Hitler. Hitler was pathologically, he was a malignant narcissist. He was clinically paranoid. Who did he fear? Minorities, the Roma, what was then called the Gypsies, and of course, the Jewish people. That is clinical paranoia, and he was a psychopath. Okay, let's just lay that out there. What is psychopathy? Psychopathy is where you have no remorse, no empathy, no conscience. You can do whatever you want, and you sleep well at night. There, that's your Robert Hare, the researcher, is the best one that defines psychopathy. Hitler had it all. Well, narcissism, by the way, narcissism, which has been studied since the 1950s, we now have a narcissistic society like we never did before. We see it in the way we talk about ourselves more than anything. We get on TikTok and other forums and we espouse all sorts of things. And so we're way more narcissistic now than in the 1950s. They look at even the words we use. Now we use the word me and I more than we did in the 1950s. We used to say we and ours. Now we say me and I. And the true narcissist has a belief system that is so corrupt. They're truly flawed of character. And they not only have the traits of narcissism, but they truly believe how they see themselves as infallible, as I only have the answers.